A belated congratulations to Anthony Joshua for taking Joseph Parker's WBO heavyweight strap. But after the fight was done, after it got his unanimous decision over the Kiwi, you could see that there was a bit of a collective feeling of, The fact is that it's good that the match went ahead, a unification is good, but lest we forget, boxing is a spectator sport, and 80,000 people don't gather around to be not sent to sleep, but disappointed to that extent where there's no real clean shots landed, any you can particularly remember. Not one round really was clearly won by anybody. It smacked a little bit of David Haye against Vladimir Klitschko, in which one man, the bigger man, simply used his physical assets to control range without really taking any risks, and the other guy was incapable, unwilling, a bit of both to do anything about it. So in terms of matchmaking, it's very good. But in terms of a spectator event and just the overall good of boxing, it might not have done it that much good. There was a lot of talk before the fight about how Joseph Parker is defensively very poor and how he has very little power at the top level. I think he proved both of those things wrong in people. I think a lot of people of that camp who gave him the sort of 10% chance are forced to own up a bit here that he's better than they thought. If nothing else, Parker showed that he can move well. He was moving that head. He basically took away Joshua's right hand. Joshua was forced to just use the left to control range. Parker was moving well. He never got trapped on the ropes, and he was holding his feet a lot of the time. He wasn't just running. He believed in his equalizer, and Joshua, who's more of a seek and destroy guy, wasn't really that confident on pressing Parker. There was very little, few Russian attacks he tried. He was happy to stay behind the jab, and Parker, when he did occasionally get inside, he looked to perhaps just ruffle Joshua a bit. He didn't fancy it. Of course, that was Parker's best chance. Of course, that was part one of beating Joshua. He had the movement down. He took away his right hand, but from there was no ability really to get on the inside. He didn't know what to do. I've said this before in Parker's previous fight against Hughie Fury, that he doesn't really know what his style is. He kind of boxes on the outside, but then he attacks a bit and rushes. But he seems more confident, or comfortable at least, with boxing on the outside. But against these giant heavyweights who are really having for reach, it's hard to see what he can do. And of course, that's basically how he lost that one. He was done for reach. He was trying to box on the outside, couldn't get on the inside. And Joshua, with just a nicely timed jab, sometimes a lead hook, just managed to clip him a few more times and stop him from trying to get indoors there. So there's some positives to be taken away. But at the same time, when the last bell goes and he's acknowledged that he should have thrown more punches, but he wasn't, you think, has he got that real killer mentality necessary to take down these giants? Possibly not. I've said it before, and I'll say it a little louder now. I do believe Joseph Parker needs a new trainer. He has done for his last few fights, basically since he's really stepped up to world level. But I very much doubt he's getting rid of Kevin Barry. He seems very accepting of that whole setup. Almost, you could go so far as he seems kind of submissive to it. He's not the kind of guy who can perhaps acknowledge what's best for him in terms of his legacy, and it's more about just who he's mates with, and I trust Kevin whatever he says. But he's probably taken him as far as he's going to go. Parker needs to decide on what style he's doing here. He's too content with being a bit of a slickster on the outside against guys who are bigger than him. He needs to forge more of a come-forward style where he can still kind of be slick on the outside, but then he double jabs his way in and gets stuck in, not unlike Holyfield used to do. But that's where he probably needs a better trainer to do that. It's tough to see where he goes from there. He hasn't got a title anymore, so some people have said he's kind of in the who needs him club now. Joshua, though, it wasn't a great fight. He's fighting a little bit more like Vladimir Klitschko, which possibly isn't good. Some fans may feel a bit cheated. But what can you say? 21 fights, 4 belts. You have to give him a big thumbs up, really. Just on the basic stats of this fight, he's done very well. It wasn't the best fight, but he did show he can fight controlled. He came in at just the right weight. Had he been heavier, Parker could have done more, but he came at 242, which was very good. He took the steps back when he needed to make life harder for the Kiwi, to re-establish that distance, and he chipped away and did what he needed to do while taking very little difference. It was just such a departure from what we're used to with AJ that I think a lot of people aren't liking that. But 4 belts, 21-0, Wilder on the horizon. Let's hopefully get forward on that one and a bit more of an exciting chapter.